War Eagle War Report family, I'm your host, C Dub. Auburn defeats Mercer by the score of 42-16. We'll recap that and give our final thoughts on that game. And we discuss what else we saw in college football on yesterday. All that and more in the latest edition of the Weekend Tailgate.
You are now listening to a War Report Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by
Athletic Architect.
It's your boy, I Jones. Be Will, C-Dog, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Report Weekend Tailgate.
War Eagle, everyone. War Eagle, happy Sunday. Welcome to the latest edition of the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by show sponsor Athletic Architects. Guys, we're in the age of NIL, so if you are a student athlete, related to a student athlete, or you're just looking to start your own LLC, please be sure to visit buildthehouse.com so you can begin planning your financial future today. Shout outs to them for definitely being a sponsor of the War Report and of the Weekend Tailgate. Also want to thank you guys for hanging out with us, whether you're watching live or on replay. We thank you in advance. Here's some ways that you can support us, guys. You can start by sharing this video on social media. Please drop the hashtag and help people to find our content, join in on the discussion, and maybe help us grow our community. Please be sure to smash that like button, guys, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Now, here's some ways that you can subscribe to us or join us or support us monetarily and get in on some perks. All right, take it away.
Yes, indeed. Listen, it's time, man. It's time to get into the meat of the content that I know you guys are looking for. We're into football season, and we're going to transition straight into basketball season. This is where we turn up, man. And if you are a member, you get all of the perks. If you were a part of the game day experience yesterday, you know you had to be a member to get in on the live chat during halftime and post game. You got to be a member to get this film review that's going down tomorrow. We are turning up on the film review. So make sure that you are a patron level member if you want to do the film review. $5.99 is what it's going to take to get you there. If you are using an Apple iPhone, it's going to be a little bit more that first month. Apologies on that, but it's not our fault. That's something that Apple decided they wanted to do. But at any rate, $5.99 is going to get you there. Outside of that, if you have a friend maybe that wants to gift memberships, or you want to gift memberships to somebody else in the War Report community, you can go out here and purchase a membership, and they'll be able to take access or take advantage and have access to War Report member content for the first month free on you. So you can go ahead and do that gifted membership from any web browser that you are on. So you need to be able to be on a web browser. If you are a member of the War Report family, we are doing a ticket giveaway. We just actually did our pulling for San Jose State. I need to update this into the Penn State graphic, but we are giving away tickets to the Penn State game coming up soon. So you need to make sure that you are on par with this. But whatever it is, San Jose State is this weekend. Penn State is going to be coming up the week after that. We give away tickets to every home game, and that is going to be part of our member community. You need to make sure that we have your email address so we can get in contact with you, though. So make sure you go and sign up for our email list to get that. This Sunday and every Sunday, we are giving away something. We're going to give away another War Report mug day today, courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. You need to hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the comments if you want to enter today's drawing. You have to be present to win. If you aren't here, we will definitely pull again and give that over to somebody else. So let's just make sure that we are ready to get things in motion today. And you guys stay locked in, man. We got a great show coming up for you today.
Guys, let's go ahead and get into it and talk about yesterday. For the record, guys, Ike's going to be the star of the show today. We haven't heard a lot of his thoughts, and so I will be deferring to you to kind of get your feedback. You were in the booth, you were covering the game. Some people asked about where you were. Ike was definitely covering the game on the War Report's behalf. But let's talk about it. Auburn defeats Mercer to the tune of 42-16, and got a quick comment here. Cleveland Brown says it's TJ's job till it isn't, but I like Robbie a little bit more. John Brannon, thanks for hanging out with us, man. This is a very disciplined and cohesive team. It just feels different good things to come, War Eagle. High level, we'll get into player of the game in just a second, but your thoughts on kind of what you saw in the booth.
Yeah, I think that it was a good game overall. I was pleased with what I was seeing. I feel like we came out and executed things that the coaching staff wanted. First drive, we got points. Second drive, we got points. Like, I just didn't see a lot of issues until we got to that third drive where it stalled out a little bit. And then the interception, of course, kind of took it downhill as far as the performance from the offensive standpoint, because that entire drive, we had the holding call, we had the miscue on the throw up the sideline, and then we had the interception. It's just that drive was just not good overall from the offensive standpoint. Definitely like the change of pace presented by Robbie Ashford at quarterback. I like the inventive ways that we were getting him in the game and making sure we were utilizing his abilities. You got an opportunity to see him throw, and he did a great job when he was able to get in and do that. Javarius Johnson looked explosive. He was out there getting separation and making sure we had a deep threat over the top. A lot of people were saying, so myself included, saying that Dawson was going to take that role as a slot receiver that was going to take the top off. Javarius Johnson proved, hey, I'm still out here ready to make plays. So I was definitely happy to see that. Offensive line, it was okay. It was good in spots. It was in other spots, right? Like there was still some work to do on the offensive line. Defensive line was slightly disappointing for me as far as pass rush is concerned. I haven't had an opportunity to go rewatch the tape, but I didn't feel as if they were dominant in their pass rush. It's difficult because you have a mobile quarterback, but at the same time, there's rushing lanes that you have to make sure that you're maintaining. I just didn't feel like the pass rush was dominant. We did really well against the run, because let's be clear, Mercer is a run first team, and we stifled their ability to run the football. We did a great job. I mean, overall, the defense was good. Don't get me wrong. This is not a harsh critique on the defense. Overall, I think the defense was good. There are just some things I think that we can improve upon. Defensive secondary looked okay. Definitely had some standouts there that we'll get into. And then, I mean, we didn't see a lot of the kick game, but we looked okay in the kick game as well. Anders Carlson put a couple of them into the end zone. The couple of punts, I think we one or two punts in the game. Both of them were decent, like nothing too bad there. So overall, I think we did well, and looking forward to seeing what we do going into the future.
With that, let's get into the player of the game. The people have voted. The people have spoken. And your player of the game against the Mercer Bears is... We've retired Mike's drum roll. Let's just get into it. Robbie Ashford.
Slander in my drum roll. Hill.
Robbie Ashford is your player of the game, throwing 4 for 7, 100 yards, 6 carries for 68 yards. Very dynamic in this game. Congrats to the young man. I think it's safe to say we'll be continue to see a lot of him moving forward. Mike G, you have been very adamant in saying publicly here and as well as on other platforms that there were going to be some packages worked in for Robbie Ashford. Thoughts on what you saw with those packages, those opportunities, and Robbie Ashford taking advantage of those opportunities?
I would like to start this by saying I think it's time that we start taking Harsin at his word when he says stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, everything this man told us in all the 3 interviews Ike and I did with him in the lead up to the season, all of it has been true. Like 100% exactly what he said it was going to be. So a lot of it's kind of refreshing to not have to read between the lines and wonder if it's coach speak or is he trying to throw us off or what. He said Keysal will call plays. Keysal call plays. I saw a lot of good comments on social media last night about the play calling. People seemed to like that. He said there would be packages for Robbie. He said, hey, guys, you can play more than one quarterback. And people were speculating about what that really meant. And it was exactly that, because we weren't 4 drives into the game before we saw Robbie Ashford.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would say, hey, listen, he told us this would happen. So I wasn't surprised because they have been, in our conversations with the staff, they have been really forthcoming with us in terms of, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we hope to do. And here's who's going to have a chance to do it. Now, this was about what I expected to be for Robbie. He is just too good of an athlete to not let him use his legs, to try to turn him into only a pocket passer. Robbie Ashford is an elite athlete. Elite. And if you want to know how elite, watch him hand the ball to Tank and then beat Tank down the field to throw a block for Tank.
Right.
Flew through there like a rocket. I was like, what? Who does that? Insane. It was a pretty good block, too. He put Buddy on his butt. So, that being said, they gave him a chance to throw the ball. And by the time they gave him a chance to throw the ball, everybody was thinking run. Robbie Ashford's in the game. We got to watch it. And he dropped back there and put a dime on Javarius Johnson, which was exactly what he needed to do. Now, if you're Harsin, you're thinking, all right, I'm easing you in. I have a veteran quarterback, but I'm easing this young guy in that provides a different dynamic, and I'm letting him get a chance to prove why he deserves more of those passes. This is the way you're supposed to do it, guys. So all the irrational, if TJ starts, we're going to win 4 games. We never harped on that. It seemed like people just want us to tear this young man down. And I'm like, well, it doesn't matter because his play on the field is going to decide whether he stays out there or not.
Right.
Unlike in the past.
Right.
So if you wonder why we got different energy for him, it's because he got benched a lot earlier.
Right.
Which is what it should be. Right. So I think Robbie took advantage of his opportunities and, he only threw 7 passes, guys.
Yeah.
He connected on 4 of them and he connected on some big ones. Now he fired a missile at, I think it was Damari Alston or one of the running backs. Probably could have took a little bit off of it, right? If I'm being, if I'm critiquing him.
And I think Esau talked about that in fall camp. He talked about, throwing a catchable pass. Something you belabored last year.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you got to take something off that ball. Your running backs are running backs. They're not receivers. Help them out a little bit and put some touch on the ball. And then the deep ball that he underthrew that ended up turning into a PI. I'm in between on that. I just didn't think it was a very good pass. So ultimately, I think Robbie Ashford took advantage of the few opportunities that they gave him. The long run, he showed off his athleticism on that run down the sideline. I thought he was going to get by that last dude.
He took a really good angle at him.
Yeah, I was like, for a second, I was like, oh man, is he going to house this one? That would be crazy. But he proved why you have to have plays for him moving forward. No matter how you use him, you got to get him on the field to throw defenses off. He is the ultimate curveball. And when you have a true dual threat, you make the defense play you a little bit more honest. And if they cheat on anything and you got a guy who can run and throw, you've got it changes the whole dynamic of your offense. So I like what I saw from Robbie Ashford. To your point, Caesar, it was just one of those things where we were always going to see him yesterday. The question was going to be, do they give TJ Finley a whole half and then we see Robbie, depending on how the game is going? I think based on how it went, it was pretty clear he was going to get in the first quarter no matter what.
Right.
So Harsin said that would happen. It happened. I like this. I like what this coaching staff is doing. There's lots of room for improvement, but yesterday I thought was a good start. They got some good things on tape to build on for next week.
Guys, we appreciate you commenting. We also appreciate the super chats. And if you want to get your comment read, definitely super chat us. Blaine Howell says Cam Riley is my player of the game.
I like this.
He led the team in tackles, 15. He had a great night. He was all over the place, near the ball. I was very pleased with what I saw to Cam Riley.
I mean, C and I talked about this before, and we agreed. I think Tank is the player of the game, man. 16 rushes for 147 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, and another electric run that got called back on a holding. Like,
yeah.
Tank was doing work yesterday, so let me say this. I love Jarquez Hunter. This is not an indictment on Jarquez Hunter of what I'm about to say. Can we slow down on Jarquez is better than Tank?
Okay, yeah, all right.
Can we slow down on that a little bit?
I was like, oh, be careful with the Jarquez Hunter slander.
I'm not slandering him at all. I'm just saying, like, I keep seeing people say Jarquez Hunter is a better running back than Tank. I'm like, where?
Yeah.
Tank is one of the best running backs in the country.
Tank
and I'm saying Jarquez Hunter is really, really good. He's not Tank Bigsby, man.
Tank is different.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, he does stuff that Jarquez, I think, is a stronger back. I think that's clear by his weight room. I think Jarquez Hunter is a more decisive back when it comes to like finding the creases between the tackles. But Tank is there's nothing there, and this still could be a home run. Jarquez ain't that. Jarquez is daylight and I'm gone. Tank is this ain't going. Oh. It's just different when you see Tank out there, man. Yeah. I'm just like the boy just different, man. I'm sorry. Like, and again, that's not a slight at Jarquez. That's not saying Jarquez isn't a good. I'm just saying let's slow down on he's better than Tank Bigsby a little bit.
Yeah. Got this one here. I'm pose this one for you, B. You haven't said a lot yet. Let's get you in here. B Will's forehead says these people calling for TJ's head won't say a word next week if he throws. We're
talking about if Robbie throws two picks.
If Robbie throws two picks.
Yeah,
right.
Hope TJ gets it fixed up, but if not, we got someone we can rely on.
I mean, that's literally it. Like play the guy who's playing the best. I don't.
Yeah.
No,
Let me ask you guys this.
Yeah, he clarified. He said Ashford throws two picks before. Yeah.
B, my question is, how do you think Harsin handles this next week? The same? Do you think he takes a similar approach against San Jose State as he did against Mercer? Or what does he do? Like, how much of Robbie do we see? Is it the same approach or a little bit different? What do you think?
I think it's probably very similar. And the reason it's very similar is I rewatched trying to capture the game again. Guys, TJ Finley looked awesome before he threw the first pick.
He did.
He looked awesome. Like the picks have now colored our memory collectively during the game, right? So I'm on social media reacting with everybody else. I'm like, man, those were bad picks. I went back and rewatched. His throws were fantastic. The pace at which he got the ball out of his hands was great. I saw every bit of the command that the coaches praised him for with the offense. It was there. That was the best quarterbacking I've seen at Auburn in like 16 years or something, man. I don't, it was every bit of, I get it now. That's why you tab that guy. I see it. Unfortunately, he created a dilemma with those picks. He created more competition than Robbie Ashford was going to get on the field no matter what. He was going to play no matter what. He was going to get some drives to command the offense in full in the Mercer game, no matter what. And Coach Harsin said in the post game, he said, well, both quarterbacks did good things. TJ Finley did look good until he didn't.
Right.
Is the two things, the mistakes that he made, are they fixable? I thought one was you didn't see him, and the second one was you didn't put enough on that throw. Shed streaking up, the safety's coming down to cut underneath. And really, if he goes over and above, which I know he has the arm to do, it's not like he doesn't have the arm to make that throw, then that's a touchdown to Shed and Shed's got his guy on his back, and it doesn't matter. So what I expect them to do going forward is, all right, TJ, here's where you messed up. We're going to give you a chance to go out there and do this again. Because what I saw with that offense with TJ commanding in the first quarter plus, I think that's what Harsin is going for with offense in general and how he wants the quarterback position to be played. So him seeing that goes, all right, that's what I wanted to see, but you can't do that anymore. And you get another shot at it. I think Mercer was it was a scrimmage essentially. And I think that's how the coaches were treating it. This was a scrimmage. We weren't in danger of losing the game, or else we would have just kept our ones in there the whole time and, scored more points and kept them from scoring points. So he's going to give them a chance to do the exact same thing. I don't think when Robbie gets out there early in the game, next game, though, it's going to just be all runs. That's the difference. I think he's going to give him an earlier shot to throw the ball, to command the full offense. And let's say the position could be up for grabs for Penn State this game. And if TJ had not thrown those interceptions, I don't think it would be.
Yeah, I just want to add, he looked awesome until he didn't, was the last quarterback's problem. Right? So he can't do that. And this was Mercer.
I disagree.
This was Mercer.
I disagree. The last quarterback just looked up and down a lot. I disagree with that.
Hold on, B. I give you a moment to retort. Keep going, Mike.
Yeah, like the wow plays looked wow, and the bad plays looked bad. But this was Mercer. So that highlights that, again, those throws were not just bad, they were terrible. I don't think that can be understated. And it completely negates what you did earlier in the game because those turnovers led to points for the other team. And against Georgia and Ole Miss and Alabama, those are game killers. And it's all anybody's going to talk about it. Like it or not, that's fair. That's playing quarterback in the SEC. That's what separates good teams from great teams. Yeah. So I watched Stetson Bennett go out there and make none of those mistakes. Against what a lot of people thought was a top 10, 11 team. Right? Now they put the brakes to him. But like, I guess my point is that you can't, like, I mean, I just want to make sure we're keeping the same energy. I think that he'll still get a chance. Like, listen, I'm not in he is where somebody can always improve. They can. But is he going to have enough time to do it?
Right.
Because you definitely can't go out there and do that again. Listen, if he does that against San Jose State, this is not even a conversation.
Right. And that's why you give him the opportunity to do it again.
Right.
To see if it's the norm or if it was an exception.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was clear before the season that the leash would be short. It was always going to be short. So you got a chance and you went out there and you made some mistakes that you can't make. And when I cut the film last night, God, it was heightened by the fact that there was a perfect pocket on both. Yeah. On both. I mean, it was a clean pocket. There was no reason to make those throws other than you just didn't see the defender there. And I'm like, okay, in my mind, I'm thinking, how long is it going to take for it to click? Like, because you got this guy who provides a different dynamic and makes everybody on defense play you different. So he's got to improve quickly. Because I just don't see how you can go out. You can't do that again. Let me just put it on. You can't do that again. And the fact that you put yourself in a you can't do that again position in game one is tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, especially when there's somebody behind you who can actually take the job, unlike previous years. So, I mean, I think the totality of the situation is what heightens the urgency for him to show improvement quickly and not make mistakes. I mean, he's got to protect the football. That's any quarterback, though. I mean, protect the football. This was Mercer. So,
right.
I mean, I don't know.
We're not saying different things, though. What I'm saying is, as we have given the benefit of the doubt to TJ as somebody who had never gotten starter reps, never been prepared to be a starter, this was the first time he was prepared to be a starter. If there's any time I want to see you actually have some growing pains, it's the first time you step into this position. Yes, it was Mercer. What I'm encouraged by was, unlike the first guy, which is I didn't like the comparison with Bo from last year. Bo made the exact same mistakes over 3 years, and if I press you, you're going to look silly. TJ's mistake was not pressure, which means it was a mental mistake. It wasn't an ingrained in me, this is how I'm always going to react every time this happens. It can be fixed. They were trying to fix who Bo was and still is in Oregon. He still got the same problems. Okay, good. You're done. We know who you are. TJ, 8 games as a starter is still not enough for me to know. I agree with you, though. I'm not going to give you more than the San Jose State game to get it right. But I think you do give him the San Jose State game.
I agree.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Harsh. I just need to brace everybody for the fact that that's probably going to be the case too.
Yeah.
Right. Listen, if you listen again, Mike said it when he made his opening statements today. If you take Harsin at his word, which I believe at this point you kind of have to, he said in the post-game presser, TJ is our starting quarterback right now. Post-game,
right?
TJ is our starting quarterback right now.
Right.
TJ, unless something crazy happens during practice this week, will start the game against San Jose State. Like it's okay for that to happen, and people just need to be okay with it. And to Brian's point, TJ stuff is fixable. Hey man, you can't make that throw in this scenario. If he continues to make those same mistakes, you say, okay, this is a pattern. This is who
now you out of here.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's in. My point is just he's in do or die for San Jose State in my mind.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Oh, for sure. I agree.
Because you can't go out there and do that. And I think that the reason he's doing do or die highlights how bad those mistakes were yesterday.
For sure.
Right. So, you just got it. This is, a lot of quarterbacks don't get this many chances. There are quarterbacks on the bench at other schools. Hell, that's why Robbie came here.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't getting a shot to show this at Oregon. We wanted to break up. So, like, I mean, in my mind, I'm just thinking, young man, it is year 3. You got on the field at LSU. You got on the field at Auburn last year. That is the totality of about 1 year starts of game, just under a year. Right. And now you're in year 3 and you've just got to show the improvement, man. Your chances in life in this arena are so far few between sometimes for some guys. Step up now. Step up now.
We got some super chats and I want to grab them after we get to the break. But look, before we go, guys, how good does it feel to know that we have more than one quarterback we can turn to?
Yeah, I'm not writing Calzada off in case of emergency, by the way.
But I'm saying that's a full encompassing question because I'm thinking about him as well. Like in years past, if the number one guy that's been built up wasn't it, and I think that's why a lot of people have reverted back to just doom and gloom of if it's this guy, then the season's doomed. We're winning 4 or 5 games because there was literally no one to turn to. I don't think that's the case under this coaching staff.
Did anybody notice all 3 of the quarterbacks up on the sideline engaged in the game?
Yeah.
All 3 of them. All 3 of them were up on the sideline engaged in the game, talking to each other. Like, I mean, come on, man. This is a very different feel to this team. I like that Calzada was up talking to Robbie and those guys and, you know what I mean, and engaged in the game rather than sitting on the end of the bench sulking.
Agreed.
So,
anyway. Agreed. Guys, we will definitely want to hear from you. We'll definitely get to some of your super chats after we come back from the break. Please, guys, if you can, share this video on social media, Facebook, Twitter, use the hashtag. Guys, get the likes up, smash that like button, and please be sure to subscribe if you have just found us. We're going to take time to pause to acknowledge the sponsors of the War Report.
This edition of the War Report is made possible by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Athletic Architects. For young athletes looking to secure their financial futures, let Athletic Architects help you start to build your financial house. Head over to BuildTheHouse.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
Absolutely. Thanks to all of our sponsors who continue to make things possible here at the War Report. And thanks to you all who have green names there in the chat. You all are quasi-sponsors of the War Report because you are giving us money monthly to help us continue to do the things that we do. If you want to join that brigade of green names, you need to go ahead and get your weight up and come on as a supporter. At least the supporters allow you access to a lot of things that we have available. Patron level members get a little bit more because they're paying a little bit more, including things like Watch the Film, which is going down tomorrow. We get to rewatch this Mercer film and put a lot of these, was this a real thing, not a real thing, stuff to bed. We can look at the film and see what it says because sometimes your eyes live will deceive you. The film never lies. So we will go ahead and take a look at that film tomorrow. So join us patrons tomorrow as we watch the film. If you are a member, you have the opportunity to get in on this drawing for Penn State tickets coming up September 17th. Penn State makes the trip down to Auburn, and we have tickets to give away. If you are a member, you can be a part of that drawing. Don't miss your opportunity. You need to be a member before the Wednesday show in order to get in on that. You want to give the membership to somebody, you can do that on your browser. You have to be on the web browser. Can't do it from the app, but web browsers, you can go and gift memberships to members and they get 1 month free on you. It's a random assignment from YouTube. We don't get to decide who gets that membership, but if you want to do that, you can definitely get in on that. This show and every show, we are giving away something. This time we're giving away a War Report mug, again, sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want to get in on that hashtag, get your weight up in the comments. And whoever wins that needs to be present when their name pops up on the screen after that drawing is done, or otherwise you're just going to be going and crying into your random mug that's something else that's not as good as this mug that's War Report
Nah.
branded. So, sorry to this man if that's you, but we're going to make sure that we get that out to you as quickly as possible. But hashtag get your weight up, and we'll be doing that drawing here in just about 30 minutes. Anyway, yesterday, I don't think I had an opportunity to take advantage of this because I didn't feel a lot of anxiety, but maybe in the future, just in case you need it in the future and you have some anxiety coming up about maybe you don't know what's going to happen with the San Jose State game and that gives you flutters on the inside. Don't worry. Our friends at the Rogue Shop have got you covered.
This episode of The War Report is brought to you in part by Rogue Shop. Looking to reduce stress or improve your quality of sleep? Rogue Shop has you covered with a wide range of premium products, including gummies, bath salts, and oils. Go to rogueshop.com and use code RAPPORT when you check out. That way, they know we sent you. All right?
Let's get back into it, guys. Appreciate again. Thank you guys for the super chats. We greatly appreciate it. Start off with Brian Hancher says the Tank versus Jarquez argument is just silly. We should be thankful we have them both.
Agreed.
We almost
Not mad
did
at that.
Amen. Amen. Blaine Howell says, I agree, Tank was amazing, but we expect that. Cam Riley looked amazing out there all over the field. We knew Cam was good, but yesterday was impressive. This is one of the areas that I do kind of want to talk about because we lost an amazing linebacker due to eligibility last year. And we was curious as to who was going to replace that level of production. It seems like Cam Riley looks the part, at least in week one. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Yeah, I liked what I saw from Cam Riley. He looked like he was one of the things that I liked about Cam is he didn't seem to miss the tackle when he got there.
Right.
And that is, I'm not going to say invaluable, but it's definite. Well, yeah, it's invaluable.
Yeah.
You get there, you make the tackle. And that was whether it was short pass play duty, whether it was against the run, whether he was spying on the quarterback. Like he just seemed like he was a sure tackler. He's rangy. He has got speed, long arms. Coach Harsin talked about this a little bit. Somebody asked him in the presser about Cam Riley. He's not going for all that dance. And he's like, all right, I'm going to let you dance a little bit. And when you're done, I'll be right here. Go ahead. Do what? Well, left, right. No. Okay. All right. Come on. Now let's just do this tackle thing. So he's not too antsy to get there. He's taking good angles. When he's getting there, he's wrapping up. He's getting the guy down. You got to love that. You got to love that in your linebacker because that's what you need. Your second level needs to be making tackles because that prevents the long plays. So I like what I saw from Cam Riley for sure.
Yep.
Indeed. James Barnett, appreciate you, man. He says, fellas, not making an excuse for TJ. You shouldn't. But does he throw that first pick if Shanker catches that dart that he threw him at the 20-yard line? That put them behind his chains, and TJ tried to make a play.
Yeah, that was an amazing throw that he made to Shanker, and it was very disappointing to see Shanker drop that. And even though that is the case and you're behind the sticks, you still can't get it all back. And that's the part of playing quarterback that TJ hasn't experienced yet, which is, oh man, we had a schedule, we had a script. We're behind now. So let me try to make some of that up. No. And that's a mental and emotional thing. You don't make up to what would have been a 20-yard completion with trying to get a 40-yard completion the next play. No. You stay on script, you make a smart play. Emotionally, you stay in pocket so that you can continue to operate the offense. And those are things that any starter has to learn while he's being a starter. You hear every time somebody gets drafted to the NFL as a quarterback, you hear all the pundits say, well, you got to play him. You got to play him. He only learns to play by playing. Peyton Manning was terrible his first year, and then he turned into Peyton Manning. And it's true. He was terrible his first year, and then he turned into an all-world quarterback. Some Aaron Rodgers sat for 2 or 3 years, and then he came out as an all-world quarterback. So it's not the same for everybody. But I do think you have to have experience to understand how to manage it with yourself. Each guy has got to be different. Maybe if you're Aaron Rodgers, you believe you can get that back, but you're Aaron Rodgers, so you can get that back. TJ Finley, you can't. So don't try to. And the coaches will manage that. They will talk to him about what you don't do once something didn't work. I'm sure that they will because I think we have good coaches, but we still can't put it on Shanker. You're always going to get behind for some reason. Defense is going to have your number on the play. And so your play was busted. And it was going to be a sweep, and they sniffed it out. Now you're 2nd and 13. Does that mean you get that it's not okay to throw a pick the next play? Oh man, we were behind. So now we're further behind. So you got to manage it. You got to manage your emotions, stay calm, stay in pocket of the offense. Stay in pocket with what y'all are trying to do in the game plan. And hopefully Shaker didn't drop too many like that, though. Because like I said, TJ was dealing up to that throw.
And I think on that drive, I think what happened, that was right before the Tank run, actually. Tank, and me and Ike was talking about it because Troxel had his guy positioned, but because Tank likes to bounce it to the outside, and you don't know Tank has bounced to the outside, there's a tendency to still hang on to that guy in that position, and that's where the hold was called. If Tank cut it up in between the tackles, it's not a hold. But because
it's not the long run that it was, but it wouldn't have been a holding call for sure.
Correct. And so that put us behind the change. And then 3rd and 18, Philly's got to know, hey, it's okay if we don't convert. Not a lot of teams convert after a 3rd and 18. And the way that Mercer was playing coverage, they was just dropping everyone back anyway.
Right.
So you have to understand that and play to the percentages. You're going to have to take an underneath route. It may net you 5, 6, 7 yards, but that's better than throwing a pick in your own side of the field. And I think he'll learn that. The hope is he'll learn that moving forward.
Ain't that how it go though? Right. The play you don't make, the next play is a turnover or
a lot.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like I was watching the Florida-Utah game, and the Florida DB had a pick 6 in his hands on the final drive by Utah, and he dropped it. And in my head, I was thinking, see, watch what's going to happen here. The next play, they're going to get the first down, and it almost cost them the game. They ended up getting the pick to seal it, but it led to a much more stressful situation than they had been hoping for, because that next play, the Utah quarterback took them all the way down to the field. I mean, they were inside the 5, I think, before he threw another pick trying to force it. So you got to make those plays. Shank is our guy. We love John Samuel, but to his point, that's got to be frustrating if you're TJ, right? Like you make a perfect throw. And then it's not caught, and then the next play is a turnover. That just, it hurts.
Yeah. Austin, Wardham Eagle 2 says last night wasn't perfect, but at least we didn't look like Ole Miss. This team certainly looks like an 8-win team as of right now.
I didn't catch the Ole Miss game, but if LSU wins tonight, every SEC team would have won in week 1. Including Vandy. So LSU versus FSU, right? Tonight.
Yes.
I'll be interested. I'm going to watch that one, but I have to go back and watch the tape on some of the other schools. I will say I got one on everybody with my Florida pick.
You did. You certainly
got
did.
one on everybody. It was exactly what Vegas nailed that game, did they not?
Yeah.
+3, -3 was the spread, and they won by 3. So.
Well, they had it the other way by 3.
They had it, right. But you know what I mean? Like it was, they nailed
it was a 3-point game. Yeah.
Andrew Jacobs says, I think we got some wide receivers that can make some special plays as long as QB play is present. And JJ also looked good on punt returns. Listen, let's talk about Keontae Scott. Let's talk about him
all around.
This guy's been on campus. How long? How long has Keontae Scott been on campus?
A month
like 2 weeks. He got there like 2 weeks before class started. Unpacked his dorm and then just started making plays.
Yeah, I liked everything I saw from Keontae Scott, man. He I liked, I mean, he was sure-handed when he was fielding the kicks. He was aggressive getting upfield and trying to make some yards after he fielded the kicks that he had the opportunity to. When he was in there on defense, he was making sure tackles. He just got that we use the term, they got that dog in him. I think Keontae Scott got that dog in him, bro. Like he looked like he's going out there to make plays every time he's on the field. That's what he told us in his interview, though. He said in his interview when we talked to him, like, I'm just trying to make a play. Every time you see me out there, I'm trying to make a play. And he looks like it. I liked what I saw out of him, man.
For sure. Get back to an older comment. Ed Darby says, how was the mood in the booth, Ike?
I mean, it was cool. I think people are reserving their judgment until we play somebody who they feel like is a worthy opponent. But the there are times in the booth when there's just audible reactions to things. One of them was the run by Tank. The first one actually was the run by Robbie Ashford up the sideline. Everybody was like, whoa. Like, it was just like, I mean, because he was shot out of a cannon. Like, when he turned the corner, it was one of those things where you're like, okay, he's going to get the first down. And you're like, he can actually take this all the way. Like, when he hit the corner and got up to full speed, it was just like, had it not been for a great angle by a DB on the back end, he was scoring because he outran everybody.
He was starting to leave the other guys.
Yeah. It was really like one of those wow. Like, you could feel the energy in the room, be like, wow, that was special.
Even on the first carry that he had, where he gave a guy the thing and then just cut up the middle, like on tape, it was impressive. Like, his speed was obvious. So even in like the short burst stuff, he's not only fast, but he's quick.
Yeah,
he's fast and quick. I was blown away by what a crazy athlete this kid is. I mean, I don't understand how they let him get away, but he is an elite athlete, down to the very definition of one. Crazy.
Dustin Smith, appreciate you, man, with the $1 super chat. Also, want to ask you guys this question. What do you think about the reverses and the wide receiver jet sweeps? That seems like that's going to be a pretty big focal point of this offense in terms of getting other guys the ball on the run game.
Nobody impressed me on their ability in the open field on any of those. Like, the speed was there, right? I think Coy Moore had one late in the game where from the booth, I didn't realize how much yards he actually got on that. Like, he got upfield pretty quickly. But I just didn't see anybody when they got it that they looked like this dynamic, oh, they about to break one type of situations on any of those. But I like the fact that they're putting it in there because the offensive line, again, doesn't look like they're manhandling guys out there in the run game. So what it does is it stops the pursuit from your defense on the back end, because they have to stay disciplined on one side. So all you're doing when you're doing stuff like that is, it's not because you're expecting a big play. What you're doing is you're keeping the defense honest. You're making them stay honest, and they have to that defensive end can't crash down as hard on the run because he's the guy responsible on the back end, or that corner that's on the backside can't come in pursuit, like the Robbie Ashford almost touchdown, right? That corner can't be as quick in his pursuit up the field if he has to stay disciplined on something that may be coming back around the other way, right? So you just have to do things like that to keep people honest. It's not always about getting a first down or having some splash play. So I like them mixing it up. I like Coach Keys called a good game, man.
He did.
He called a good. I can't recall any time watching the game from the booth and being like, yo, what was that call?
Yeah.
I don't think I said that one single time this entire game.
Yeah, I like the play calling.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we talked about punt return. Like yesterday, there wasn't a lot to be made of outside of punt return as it pertains to special teams, which is a good thing. To Mike's point, if we're talking about special teams, it's either it went really well or it went really bad. So no news is good news there. Are we surprised? I mean, I guess with the QB story taking shape, we didn't get to see a lot of the wide receivers that some of the fans were clamoring for. We did see there was a Camden Brown sighting out there. He was out there on a few plays, but didn't get the ball thrown to him. What's the hope for next week as it pertains to getting some of these guys involved? I would have liked to have seen Coy Moore get some opportunities as well. I know he was very confident when we did a building report with him. So our thoughts about the wide receiver room, we know it's heavily dependent on QB play, but what are our thoughts with our wide receivers? How do we feel about our receivers overall?
I'm wondering about rhythm when it comes to switching quarterbacks in and out. So I'm just interested to see how, or hear how they tackle practice this week to prepare for San Jose State, because Shed looked good to me, man. I thought they used him exactly like we thought they should use him. I wish he had gotten a few more balls thrown at him, but that was more about kind of the flow of the offense. It seemed like they were not trying to force the ball to any one person. They were running plays, and the open guy was the open guy.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. So, people will sleep on these receivers, and they have a chance to make plays while people are sleeping. Like, people forgot Javarius Johnson is a deep threat.
Right.
And then he went out there and he was burning people down the field and then making the open catches. So at the end of the day, I would just say that it is important that the receivers continue to play an integral role in what we're doing, because teams are I still think the game plan is still going to be to stack the box and try to stop Tank and Jarquez and stop the run and make them prove that they can beat you through the air. When the ball's in the air, the margin for error is slimmer. And the teams are still going to try to force us to do that. So receiver play is going to be super important. I just want to see them take the next step. I think yesterday, what did we have? Like 200-something yards receiving total?
212.
212. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing somewhere in the 285, 350 range in terms of receiving yards next week.
Imani Smoot says, what's up with this 8 or 9 win season? Knock it off. 15-0, we're going. Texas A&M, Arkansas, Ole Miss is overrated. We will beat Alabama and Georgia. Just watch. 1 down, 14 more to go.
Who did you see yesterday that looked like we should be an extreme underdog to? This is why I didn't get all the pessimism about our schedule.
Georgia.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I mean,
okay.
Let's
wait for that. What did we see?
Yeah, we in there. We'll see.
Yeah, if Noah put a team together, it would lose this Georgia team. But like, I think at the end of the day, the rest of the West looks beatable.
I didn't watch any of Bama, so I have no idea what that.
I don't know.
I did not one day.
I got reports. that line still looks kind of suspect in pass pro against Utah State.
That's what I said when I did my picks for the season. Why Alabama was in my maybe or in my toss-up column, because I was like, they got to prove to me they got better on O-line.
Yeah. So I would just say, I think that this is, as the season progresses and people start to see, damn, like Auburn isn't a threat to not make a bowl game. Well, you bought all the bull crap that people were selling preseason. There's tons of talent on this team. 247 did a thing talking about like our average star ranking or like whatever. I mean, they're a top like 15 or 17 team or something in terms of talent in the country. Like, not winning. Every team in our division won 6 games. Saying that Auburn wasn't going to make a bowl game is just a really like uninformed take, if you ask me. Really uninformed.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just silly. It's silly, man. I mean, I'm not quite at the we're going undefeated this season space yet, but I am definitely optimistic about what our chances are against some other teams based upon what they did in their first game and the things that I feel like we can do in our next coming games to improve.
The crowd that was, this is a 5-win team. Now I'm talking about our fans, right? This is a 5-win team. I don't listen, as soon as they get to 6, I don't want to hear nothing from you.
Nothing. Like you have no room anymore to complain about anything.
Yeah. I don't want to hear, oh, well, it's still a crap season. No, if your bar was 5 wins, everything after that is extra credit. And you just need to be quiet and admit that they were better than you thought they were going to be in year 2.
Yeah.
I was never as bad as people were painting it out. Like, I'm disappointed that so many of our fans fell for national narratives about the team.
Yeah.
Right? Uninformed national narratives. The Danny Cannells and all those guys out there that just think all our strengths are going to be our weaknesses. And there are no strengths.
No one wants to play for Harsin.
Yeah, like, give me a break, man.
Thomas Jones, we appreciate your super sticker, buddy. And your comment here is, after the last interception by TJ, where the DB followed his eyes the whole time, I tried to make an order from the wrong shop, but I didn't have the service in the stadium.
That is
and again, I think this is where watching the film is going to be important, because playing against the zone, those guys are watching the QB.
Sure.
They're watching what you do. They're not watching their defender.
Yeah.
And I think your ability to recognize what those guys are doing, you have to be very cautious with your eyes and what you're doing. I mean, that's
when you
one of the
recognize zone, your key changes. Your key changes from your receiver to the defensive back that should be stepping into the play. Like what you read changes if you recognize zone. So either he didn't recognize zone, or he wasn't reading his keys right. Like that's really that. There's only two ways that happens. You didn't recognize what they were in, or you didn't read the right key.
Right. I have a story. Like, so I've been seeing a lot of really uninformed takes on YouTube about Auburn. Like everybody's got a YouTube channel and they think they know about this team. And I take exception to that because we actually know this team in a very literal sense. Like talk to the players, talk to the coaches. Like been in the athletic department. And there's this one YouTube channel, and I will say the name of the YouTube channel. It's like Power Hour SEC or something. I stumbled across his video, and I only looked at the video because on his thumbnail, he had a picture of Harsin with a down arrow and the word gone. I didn't understand. None of it made sense, just like his whole diatribe during the video. But I rarely comment as the War Report on other people's content because I don't want to speak for you three gentlemen. But I was like, I think I can talk for the group on this one. And he in his video, he goes, I don't think this team is going to be very good. He spits out all this national narratives. And then he says, I was a Gus guy, but blah, blah, blah. And so I commented and I was like, most of your Auburn takes are complete trash. But, when you said you were a Gus guy, that pretty much explains it. Right. And so it comes back and he was just like, I'm sure you guys are totally happy with the way it's going right now. I was like, brother, it's been 1 year. What are you talking about in a rebuild? Yes, most reasonable fans are not freaking out right now about 1 year's results. So he comes back to me, and this is what the point of this story. And he says, well, what's your gut feeling about Harsin? Do you think he will ever win 10 games at Auburn? And I said, yes, if given time. But I think it's funny that you were a Gus guy and your bar is 10 games.
Right.
You set the bar 10 games for Harsin, but your guy was an 8-win coach.
Right.
So let's not sit here and act like he did that more than twice in 2 anomalous years out of 8.
Right.
Give me a break, man. Our fans falling for these national narratives, and then people who don't cover the team just pirating that for views on YouTube is really starting to irk me, man.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people who jumped on the Harsin rumors for views. And these people are just talking out of their asses, man. I'm getting sick of it. It's getting hard to stay quiet on this stuff, right? And I'm just like, and I know what happens. What happens is they see me and they're just like, oh, and then they click on our channel. They're like, oh, these guys might know what they're talking about because all his attitude left in the second response. And I'm just like, dude, come on, man, just use your brain or something. I don't know. I had one guy.
That's asking a lot from people who, and somebody just said it. It's laziness, pure and simple.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy for us to do it with other teams as well. It's just like to on the surface say, oh well, they blah blah blah, just because you're not in there watching that team, so you don't actually know. You're going off of what you heard and you're seeing reports and blah, but you don't really know what's going on at any of these places, which is why it's so hard to determine what any team is going to do before the season starts, because only thing that you have to go off of, if you're not watching that team and every team that they play against, is the team that you follow.
Correct. Now, if we make an argument against another team, it's usually statistically based, or it's based on film that we've watched of that team.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
We're not just out here throwing out crazy narratives. And again, that's why I say it's laziness. That's why it's so hard. Like, if you're a national media person, there's no way you're following these teams closely.
No.
There's no way.
No. At most, you're an SEC guy, and you're because there are a few guys who are very well connected at a lot of schools.
Yeah,
there are guys who are true insiders that really are having the conversations to know about this stuff. But I would just be careful what narratives you allow yourself to believe listening to trash content on YouTube, because that's what this video was. It was trash content. I was just like, dude, and I told him, this is trash. Like, most of your takes are trash, and you have no clue what you're talking about.
Well, he introduced his bias, right? It's like, well,
right.
It's like you went ahead and told me everything that I'm about to say has complete bias, but let me say it.
Right. I'm a Gus guy, but listen to what I have to say about Harsin.
Like, there was literally no reason to throw that in there except to say I'm going to be completely biased in everything I'm about to tell you.
Right. And I'm saying this is why nobody should take anything you're saying seriously.
Yeah.
At all. Right. Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit before. Antonio Smith, this is a great super. Can y'all explain the running into the kicker?
Yes, I
flag?
can actually explain.
Told
It
you
was
it was
a
going to be the
terrible
start of
call.
the show. I told you it was going to be the start of the show. All right, let's go.
Help me out here.
It was a terrible call. So I went and I looked in the NCAA rule book. I still have it pulled up right here, actually. The ruling in regard to a kicker. So I'm going to read you what the ruling says. I'm going to read an explanation from an official that talks about the ruling. So long snaps and plans to punt from behind the line of scrimmage, but misses the ball, which falls to the ground. If the kicker is contacted, by rule, it's a fumble, no foul. There is no kicker until the ball is kicked. A kicked ball after which the person is unable to stop their attempt to block runs into the kicker. The penalty is 5 yards from the previous spot, roughing in 15 yards down. If it's in question as to whether or not it's a foul, it's roughing or running into, then it will be running into the kicker. But here it is. It's not roughing or running into the kicker, since by rule, it only applies if it's obvious a kick will be made. If player runs into the kicker, they have to have reasonable time to regain their balance. In this specific situation, nobody thought that dude was going to get
that ball. Yeah.
Nobody. Yeah. There's no way you call that penalty. So in layman's terms, this is broken down on another one. After a bad snap, it is not reasonably certain a kick will be made. That means the defense gets the benefit of any doubt as to whether or not contact with the kicker is avoidable. In some cases, the kick will be made as the kicker is being contacted. That is certainly not a foul. I don't know any other way to say other than that's a BS call.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go. That's the rules, right? Okay, so the focus here on what you just read, Ike, is that it's got to be reasonably certain that a kick is going to be made.
Right.
And there's
this
no
dude was
reasonable
running backwards for like 30 yards and then turned and kicked all in one motion. There's no way that's avoidable.
Hell of an effort to actually get a kickoff, though, because I would have been scared that I would have got my head knocked off.
We see how that typically works when a guy tries to kick it, right?
Yeah.
He almost definitely gets it blocked or tackled, and the ball rolls into the end. Like we see the worst case of what happens when a guy does that. But to your point, kudos to him. But no, that was a trash call for sure. Thanks for the question. Bankroll Blockade says, when TJ threw that second pick, I thought I hit my head and was watching us in 2015 versus Jacksonville State. Listen, I remember that Jacksonville State game. None of last night put me in that.
I was about to say, I don't know why.
Nothing about last night
put me. We were up by double digits at that point. There was no point in Jacksonville State.
We were traumatized after Jacksonville State. Right. Okay, I actually thought if Roqueshot was around in 2015, I'd been in a coma because I would have been popping gummies. So no, I mean I understand the frustration there, but man, that Jacksonville State game was, Patrick R says, was I the only one to see Mba? He looked like a giant out there, and I thought we had more sacks than one last night.
Bro, you were not the only one that saw. I might, if you follow me on Twitter, I was making commentary that he is an enormous human being.
Yeah, he looked like a real life Thanos.
And that's what I said on Twitter. I was like, it shouldn't be legal for him to be that big and move that fast. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, literally seeing him standing next to other people puts it in perspective. Like you see the statistics of like, oh, he's this size, he runs da. But you see him standing next to other grown men out on the field, and you're like, bro, that dude big as hell. Because like, what are we doing out here? Like, where were you created? What lab produced that? Yeah. Because that ain't just normal human being. Like, you could be big, but you ain't supposed to move that fast, bro. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad he's on my team. That's all I'm saying.
He's going to be good for us. Yeah, I'm excited about him for sure. Before we get to the drawing, Eric Campbell's Co-LLC says, I asked JG if Harsin is the man for Auburn. He said he couldn't answer that.
Yeah,
like as he's not sure if Harsin is the guy.
Let me say this: JG knows a lot about the inner workings of Auburn, so I think that his statement is more about Auburn than it is about Harsin.
Right.
About the type of guy that will survive Auburn. and be able to function within the dysfunction that is Auburn behind the scenes sometimes. All right. I think this was what a comment is about, right? Because Harsin he's his own man. I think that's pretty clear.
Right.
He's not going to be anybody's puppet. He's not going to let boosters dictate his actions. And I think we're pretty clear. We just have to admit at this point that's not going to endear you to some people who like control. Right. So when he says, I'm not sure, now, I haven't had any recent conversations with JG, but just knowing what he knows about the system as it exists, that's the way I take that. Like, hey, listen, is he a good coach? Yeah, probably. But will he survive here? I'm not sure if he's the guy for Auburn.
Right.
Which makes me sad because I do think he's a really good coach for sure. Wolby says, how many penalties did we have last night? I only remember 2.
3.
No matter is
3 for 20 yards.
We had 3 for 20 yards. So it was a pretty clean game for us in that. And I think that goes back to a comment someone made earlier that we look more together as a team. We didn't look disorganized. And I think those are some things that would have a lot of fans worried is that we talked about it. Last time we played Mercer, it was 10-24. We only scored 24 points.
And you know what, though? Number 1 from Mercer is good. That wide receiver is good. I expect him to be in the NFL eventually. He is good. He knew how to get into the zone. His hands were fantastic speed. He's good, man. He's good. It's okay that somebody else at a smaller school is good. I had somebody on Twitter, they were asking, we talked about who we wanted to see that had left Auburn. I was like, I want to see D. Davis play. This is before he played for Alabama State. And then somebody commented and they said, well, why does he go down to Alabama State? If he was insinuating if he's at Alabama State, then he didn't belong here. I don't know where y'all get that from. It's people winning Super Bowls every year that never step foot on an SEC field, on a Big Ten field, guys from Division II, guys from Group of 5. You playing, and if you can play, has nothing to do with where you played. It has everything to do about your ability and your ability to improve. Man, that dude is good. So, you know what? I'm glad we got that test. I'm fantastic that we got that test. And maybe we know a little bit more about Pritchett earlier than we would have if we had played against somebody who didn't have that type of wide receiver. Pritchett knows more about himself, and he needs to step up his game going in because I don't think Keontae Scott is going to be held off too much longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, it's that time. About to do a giveaway. What exactly are we giving away? Giving away a mug. Courtesy of GWT2 Energy. Drop hashtag get your weight up in the comments. Should have done that by now if you're really serious about it, but I'm gonna give you about 2 seconds and Ike, take it away.
Yes, sir. Let's get this going. 94 people have entered the drawing. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments is what it is. If the person's not here, keep hashtagging. But today, courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services, Rod May is the winner. Rod May, if you are present, make yourself known in the chat so that we can get your information and get this mug out to you.
Congratulations to you, sir. Let's take time to acknowledge another one of the sponsors of the War Report. Do I see it in here? Yes. Chill Boys.
Treat your boys. Chill Boys underwear is designed for maximum comfort with enough space to keep you cool, calm, and comfortable. Chill Boys underwear will help you keep the boys close, not too close. When the game is on the line, you won't break a sweat with Chill Boys underwear. Whether it's left boy, right boy, or both boys, Chill Boys provides your boys comfort like you never felt. Maximize your chill with Chill Boys.
A big shout to Chill Boys for sponsoring the War Report. Guys, I'm sitting here at my Chill Boys right now. If you don't have a pair, get them. Watch football on your Chill Boys. I promise you it's worth the money. And use code REPORT for that 15% off.
For sure. Let's grab some supers real quick. Jazzy, appreciate the $50 super chat. Dropping some love, chilling with the fam today. We'll catch the replay. Ike, you should have stood in the rain with me. I don't think, in the look on Ike's face, he wanted no parts of that. War Eagle to you, though, Jazzy. Glad you was in Auburn for sure. Lisa Wise, thanks for hanging out with us, Lisa. From my seat in Jordan Hare, our first looked like a half shank out of bounds. I think
I'm assuming she's talking about the punt. Yeah,
Yeah.
it did. I mean, from the press box, I was like, oh, he didn't hit that very well, but it ended up going all the way to the 11. So I was like, the outcome wasn't bad. But when he hit it, I was just like, ooh, that didn't look good. But
Yeah, for sure.
the outcome, I can't be mad at anything inside the 15 on a punt. So,
well, guys, listen, this is one of our popular segments. One of our popular segments. We're going to get to it as we can see some of us beginning to prepare for it. What do we see, guys?
What did we see?
I'm gonna let Mike G go first.
No, I can't.
No. You want to say something specific?
No. I my lead in is for Ike.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Okay,
what I'm
all
gonna
right.
say.
you want me to go second? Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Mike is going to defer to you. Mike is done, so now it's your turn. Ike.
Well, you know what? See, let me and you go first, right?
Yeah,
Hold on,
yeah,
I want Ike to be
Wait.
the finale.
Let's stop. Explain to people what do we see for those who
What
might
do we
not be in the
see? We've talked a lot about Auburn the first hour of the show. What do we see is basically everything else that took place on Saturday that didn't have anything to do with Auburn per se. We discussed what stood out to us, what made national news, so on and so forth. So with that, Brian, would you like to go first?
Sure. I'll go first. You know, Mike hinted at this a little bit earlier, but second place in the West is wide open. I was so glad to see Arkansas looking very beatable.
Regular.
Ole Miss looking beatable.
Mm.
Mississippi State, they look good. Their rain delay was too long. I didn't watch that game. I'm not going to act like I watched that game. That was way too long. Nobody on this side of the conference is unbeatable. Nobody is, except Bama's beatability is probably very small with the talent that they have. So knowing where we're at with our talent and where we're at in the development of our players, there's nobody on our side outside of Bama that I can say I can't see it for us. I can see it for all of us. For all the credit Lane Kiffin gets year to year as an offensive genius and guru, people are forgetting Matt Corral was in year 2 of his tenure at Ole Miss. The first year, he looked awful. He had like a 6th INT game or something like that. That was his first year. The second year means a lot for players coming back, man. He's got 2 quarterbacks who have never played. Well, Jackson Dart got some playing time, but this is his first year there with him. And Luke Altmaier may have been on the team last year, but he didn't play. They are starting over at quarterback. You know how bad that is? We're talking about it right now. And how TJ looks so rough. Everybody's got kinks to work out. KJ Jefferson, he's a big guy. He can run, he can throw. He throws okay. He is not Cam Newton. I get it. Everybody that's 6'6", that can run and has some power when they're running gets compared to Cam Newton. Lord, please let that stop. KJ Jefferson is not Cam Newton. He is okay throwing, and he holds the ball way too long because he thinks he can take any hit. We're going to eat him alive if he plays like that when he comes down here. Nobody on this side of the conference is completely unbeatable, but everybody outside of Bama, I'll say coin flip for us, and if we continue to improve, I would favor us in every game going forward outside of that Bama game for the rest of this year. Do not get down on your team in the offseason based on what media pundits say. Do not get too hype on any team in the offseason based on what media pundits say. We all thought Georgia would have looked a little bit worse. Whoo!
That's my next one. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. All I'm saying is the West is wide open. We should be licking our chops, man. I'm still saying 8-4 right now. I might bump it up depending on how we look the next couple of weeks. So
Hey. All right, B. All right. Did you say something about Georgia?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see a lot of drop off, and I think was it at media days, Mike, that Kirby Smart says that they want to be the hunter.
Yeah, they are no longer the hunted. He said, "We are here hunting. We've got sticks and bows and arrows and whatever you hunt with." I don't know what people hunt with these days, but
I think guns. But
yeah, they went to Dick's Sporting Goods and they got whatever they needed, and they are going after.
And they got some duck. They brought home plenty of duck.
What's the dinner tonight, honey? We haven't done.
One of the things that I have said about Auburn, in previous, especially when we've had really good defenses, is that we can't expect our defense to continue to bail us out of games. At one point, as guys begin to move on to the next level, graduate, leave Auburn, at some point, the offense has to begin to carry our team. The defense will still be good, but it won't still have the guys or the dogs that made it really great, which means you got to begin to raise your level of play on the opposite side of the ball. What we saw yesterday with Georgia was them elevating their play on the opposite side of the ball. Stetson Bennett looked phenomenal. Stetson Bennett was 25 of 31 for 2 touchdowns. Those were numbers that the guy who transferred out, they were expecting him to have last year.
Right.
He looks amazing. And that's why a team is still good year after year, because they're not just relying on one side of the ball to be good. Georgia's actually throwing the ball. Their leading rusher got 50 yards on the ground. That tells you just how much damage they was doing through the air. Against really good defenses in the SEC, Stetson, it'll be interesting to see how Stetson look, but this was a great starting point for Georgia and for Stetson Bennett. This guy's played a lot of football, man, and it looks like the coaches are starting to trust him more. The players have rallied around. I mean, he's earned their respect, and we're starting to see why. Georgia they're going to be a problem moving forward as expected, but I don't see much of a drop off in that team from the one that won the national title. Keep your eyes out for Georgia.
And you know what's very curious about this with Stetson Bennett? We talked in the offseason about QB room rankings. And Mike was like, hey, he's won a national championship. Give him his credit. And I was like, oh, it's okay. This is the first year that Stetson Bennett has prepared to play as the starter. It's so different when you actually get a chance to be the guy all offseason. You get reps with the other guys who are going to be the guys, and you get a chance to operate specifically with you at the helm and in control of the offense. It makes a world of difference. Stetson Bennett beat us very squarely in 2020 when we went to Georgia and got embarrassed. He was okay. Last season, he didn't make these otherworldly mistakes. He usually made a very big play, kept everything else steady. He was okay. Yesterday, he was outstanding. The first game following an offseason where he prepared to be the guy all offseason as a starter, he comes in and looks outstanding. Combined with his experience from before, it makes a difference, man. We got to give these people that credit. People can still improve regardless of what any fan base seems to think. People can improve year over year.
Was that a case for TJ? I'm sure that's a case for TJ, though.
No, I mean, TJ didn't have the experience that Stetson Bennett had, though. Stetson Bennett started 18 games over 2 years?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm just he prepared to be the starter all offseason thing, I think, was interesting.
He did, but he did look better than he looked in versus
TJ
South
was
Carolina.
actually in the quarterback competition all offseason. So.
Yeah. So, Kirby did make it clear. I mean, I asked him the question at media days, like, hey, are you even having a competition? And he said that Stetson Bennett has earned the benefit of the doubt. I think he validated that by leaps and bounds in game one. Now, I think some of it is Oregon just isn't as good as a lot of people thought they were. But also it is, you have to give credit when you overwhelm an opponent that you should overwhelm.
Right.
Because lots of people go out there and underwhelm, especially in game one when they replaced so much on their team. So I still give credit for going out there and looking that impressive, even if the opponent was, you know what I mean, the moment wasn't too big for them. I mean, now it was practically a home game, but, you know, they didn't have to travel far. Like, they stopped and got Chick-fil-A on their way to the stadium. Like,
right.
I see what you did there, by the way. I see what you did there.
Right. So, anyway.
Mike?
Listen, man. Every week, I got a problem with my guy, Boomer. And he cost me money, man. NC State cost me money. And there's some bums, and they went out there and they didn't cover. They didn't do nothing that they were supposed to do but win the game, and they barely did that.
Barely.
They barely did that. Now, I think it's important to note that nobody is as good or as bad as we think they are in week 1.
Right.
And that's it. I yield the rest of my time to Ike Jones. Mike G out.
Are we ready for this?
Yeah.
All
Let's
right.
go ahead. Let's talk about it.
Okay. All right. You have the floor, Ike.
Yeah. All right. So I have 4-part smoke to deliver today in regard to Oregon. Number 1, head coach Dan Lanning, sir. After the game, you said, I didn't do a good enough job of getting my guys ready to play. You're right. They were completely ill-prepared to do anything that resembled football for that entire football game, offensively or defensively. They looked terrible. Your game plan wasn't terrible on offense, but we'll get back to why that didn't work. Where I have issue with Dan Lanning is, for some reason, inexplicably, at halftime, he gets an interview and he walks over and he says, we know what we need to do to bother Stetson Bennett. Sir, you had a whole offseason to prepare for. You did realize Stetson was going to start the game, right? It's not as if he came in inexplicably and you was like, oh, you know what? We didn't prep for this, but during the half, I'll get him right for Stetson. He literally picked you apart for an entire half, and you somehow still went into halftime saying, I know how to fix this, and came back out in the second half and did the same thing. Stop talking, Dan Lanning. Sir, just don't talk anymore, because now your coach speak just sounds stupid.
Dumb.
I'm very disappointed in you, sir. You were the defensive coach against these boys. You couldn't put a game plan together to go against the defense. You couldn't put a defensive game plan to stop them. Don't talk anymore.
Terrible.
That's part 1. Number 2, I want to talk to Oregon fans. The Oregon fans that told us all offseason how Bo Nix is now in a better place because he didn't leave Auburn because he knew what he was getting into in Auburn. This is the first time he's going to have a real offensive line and blah, 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 and this and this and that, and how great it was going to look, and they were going to smash Oregon, and everybody needs to look out, and SEC over. And Oregon fans, how you feeling today? As our guy Paul Mahari said so eloquently on Twitter, you traveled all the way across the country to kick a field goal. I don't even understand. And you're in full meltdown mode right now because the guy who your coach, aforementioned Dan Lanning, decided to peg as his guy because his offensive coordinator, who used to be at Auburn, went out there. I'll talk about him in a minute. We won't go there yet. Oregon fans, how you feeling today? Because, again, you told me all offseason the problem was Auburn. He's finally got a great offensive line. How you feeling? Okay. Number 3. Fans of Bo Nix. I have no problem with you supporting whatever athlete you choose to support. That's not my problem here. You can support them wholeheartedly. My issue is you have, for 3 years, told those of us with 2 eyes and an ability to watch football that somehow every problem that existed with this young man at quarterback was everyone's fault except for that young man. And you told us somehow we were hating on Bo Nix and we should stop because he's an Auburn. Bo Nix does not play for Auburn University right now. Last I checked, the name on his jersey says Oregon. I don't really care what he does in the grand scheme. As a matter of fact, I actually hope he's successful. But you have to stop telling people with 2 eyes who watch the same football that you do that somehow his problems are everyone else's issue. Which brings me to the crux of my argument here. Bo Nix. Sir, it is clear to me that you do not like adversity. Case in point, your propensity to run away from pressure when it's coming in the pocket. Rarely do you stop and take a hit. Rarely. I'm not saying it never happens, but rarely do you do that. So adversity, for whatever reason, makes you run. I think that's fair to say. I see parallels in that in everything that you do in regards to how you do things with your careers thus far. You had a quarterback competition that was looming at Auburn. You decided you wanted to take your ball and move to Oregon. Then you got there behind what has been touted as one of the best offensive lines in the country, very much experienced unit, and you couldn't score a single point. At some point in time, you have to realize maybe the problem isn't everybody else. Maybe I have a few things that I need to fix. You went from a system that was preparing you to go to the NFL, giving you NFL type looks and throws, and you decided to go to a more simplified one read system that you were more comfortable with and produced 3 points. In your 4th year as a starting quarterback, 4 years, same guy. Maybe there's a guy in the mirror that's to blame. Just maybe. I'm done.
Usher, is there a way I need to give my offering? How do I get this to Pastor Ike?
Not get up and go get money.
I just need to know.
Oh my God! Hey, listen, he said it all. He said it all. I mean, I think we could put that to bed now. And I'll say this. I'll add this. It doesn't matter what he does the rest of the season. All right, it is. It's funny because like you get stuck in not wanting to appear as if you're hoping for somebody to not do well, even though it kind of wasn't. But it was for the sake of our players, the guys who stayed, the guys who bought into this system.
Right.
I feel like they were vindicated. I really do. I feel like they were vindicated because they were told a lot that no quarterback can be good behind this line. I don't know how many times I read that on social media. No quarterback can be good with that blocking. Or nobody can survive. Your receivers can't catch. Everybody's going to look bad. Whose fault was it Saturday? Please tell me, because that was supposed to be one of the best lines in the country returning.
And it wasn't like he was just constantly under pressure either.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what? I said
now, let me say this too, right? Like Georgia is just that good.
Yeah.
So this is not to say, hey, he has no talent or I mean that's not what I'm saying.
Did you hear me say that in that entire? I never said Bo Nix doesn't have talent.
But somebody will make the reference. I just want to make sure
we're clearing that up. Of course, right? I've been saying for 3 years he's a super talented quarterback.
Guy, right? The point is, in the SEC though, you got to be different.
Yeah.
You got to be different because what Georgia brought, somebody has the potential to bring that at you every single week. And I feel like a lot of this was. I still feel like a lot of this was Malzahn's fault, man. It was, dude. Like when you bring a guy in and you tell him he's the next coming and you treat him that way, and the bench, man, he could have benefited from seeing the bench a couple times in those first couple of years if there was a guy behind him that could actually push for the job. But they evaluated so poorly.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, man, guys, hear me out. Bo was a 5-star talent, but he was a 3-star quarterback.
Yes.
Right? And you do not just turn over the reins to your franchise to a 3-star quarterback. That guy takes time to develop.
Right.
That's the guy that takes over in his 3rd year after he redshirts and learns the system and works out the bugs. And I feel like, where we do take responsibility as a university is they put too much weight on that young man's shoulders right out of the gate. He did his best to carry it, but it just never was going to be it. And that's why we had to change coaches.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we had to change coaches.
And it's so refreshing to see a guy who's probably not a 3-star quarterback in Holden Gardner redshirt.
If Harsin is our coach when Bo is recruited, if he's recruited, he probably sits the first year or two.
Yeah.
Or we see something similar to what we're seeing now because there's another capable guy in the room. And then by the time he's a junior, he is the 5-star talent and quarterback that you hoped he was. Right? I just didn't like. I mean, I took so much heat for defending our receivers and our O-line last year, saying, hey, these guys aren't as bad as people are painting them out to be. It looked the exact same at Oregon. So now I just want people to tell me again, if you thought, because after he had one good game, people were like, you guys owe Bo an apology. Well, you know what? All y'all owe our receivers and O-line an apology now.
Yep.
What about them? You're calling me a hater and a racist and all these terrible things over defending the other guys on our team. And saying, hey, man, this is a whole system problem, and it's not just them. So, it is not what you would have expected. And listen, they were going to lose that game no matter what.
Yeah, I had no doubt.
We all predicted.
I just
predicted
that they actually put up some sort of a fight.
Right. But a fourth-year starting quarterback would
a guy who's seen Georgia for 3 years and a guy who used to coach at Georgia should put up more than 3 points in a football game.
Yes.
Yeah. Listen, I see Tiff here in the comments, bro. I'm telling you, we did the watch the film and we had the all 22. That's just not true.
Right.
We just
running wide open.
Wide open. We have the all 22 film on that.
I can go show you plays where there were receivers
wide open,
without a defender within 5 yards of them.
There were some receivers running open for Oregon yesterday too.
Now, I'm not saying they were perfect and they were so great. That's not what I'm saying. My point is that again, they were taking way too much of the blame. The same way the O-line was taking way too much of the blame. The same way Bo probably took too much of the blame.
Correct. So again, here's the problem. The problem is not that there were no other issues. I'm not saying everything was perfect around Bo. The problem is if the meter is it has to be perfect in order for Bo to be good, he's not that good.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not a difficult thing to get your way towards. Do you know what the Tampa Bay offensive line looked like before Tom Brady got there? Mediocre.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Jameson Winston was getting tattooed every game and he was throwing picks all over the place. They didn't make a whole bunch of changes to that offensive line between the time. They had a new rookie that came in who played well, but pretty much it was the same offensive line unit.
Yeah.
Who was the SEC
Tom
champion?
Brady's just a better quarterback, and you put him in the same scenario, he's going to produce better.
Now everybody looks like
problem is
all-stars.
everybody seems to think that it has to be perfect, and then you're going to see the brilliance of Bo Nix. Maybe it's not Bo being brilliant. Maybe everybody else is just really good.
Hey, Ike. Who was the SEC championship last year?
The SEC championship, Georgia versus Bama.
Who was the SEC champion?
Bama.
Okay.
One of the worst offensive lines.
Who won the Heisman that year?
Yeah, the quarterback for Bama. Yeah, Bryce Young.
Yeah.
He played behind what kind of line?
Terrible.
It was awful. But you know what? I've made that point about Jarrett Stidham in 2017, about Joe Burrow in his all-time record-setting campaign. 36 sacks he took behind that line.
Yeah.
And still he is in Cincy. It was the most sacks given up by a team that made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Pressure on your QB is an inevitability. And if you need perfect conditions to play the quarterback at a high level, then you're not a 5-star quarterback. And that's
I don't know why the conversation in the comments is about TJ. We're not talking about TJ right now. This has nothing to do with TJ Finley.
This was
so if you're using TJ Finley as a defense for Bo Nix, then this makes no sense. Then again, you're changing the narrative. That's why I don't like talking about Bo.
See, it's about all the other guys around him that took the heat for stuff that wasn't wholly on them. That's not to say the offensive line play was perfect last year. That's not what we're saying here. But I just said, hey man, it's more emblematic of a whole system problem. The thing though is when your team has weaknesses, you look to the superior talent and the experience to carry the team. Right. The same way Bryce Young is a superior talent. He put that team on his back all the way to a national title behind one of the worst O-lines they've had in 20 years. until he couldn't carry them anymore because his receivers got hurt and like literally used none of that as an excuse and won the Heisman.
It's a pretty good indication if a guy is that guy when he's still there, saying some things around him. Does it still go? Nick Marshall lost Trey Mason. You lost Greg Robinson. You lost Jay Prosh.
Yep.
And the offense still put up points with Nick Marshall there because Nick Marshall was that dude. Jarrett Stidham lost a couple pieces. He was not the same guy year 2. He was not that dude. Good. He was not that dude, though. Whether or not you're that dude, it's evident. Let me change some pieces around you. It still looks the same. Whether you had a senior-laden line or an inexperienced line with inexperienced skill position players, listen, you're that dude. It shows.
Yeah. I just noticed again last night on social media after the Oregon game was over. A lot of the detractors, the people who bashed our O-line and our receivers consistently last year, were just quiet because you know what? A lot of them were in a mode where they were, I don't know, hopeful or worried. Some people were worried that he was going to have a great game and we were going to look silly because we were going to win 5 if we let our 5-star quarterback get away. Right? I mean, that was a legitimate concern from a lot of Auburn fans was, hey, man, did we let our guy get away? And now he's going to go kill it at some other school. And when I tell you, it just doesn't matter what they do the rest of the season. The level of competition in the pack is nowhere near what they're going to see.
Not on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, no way. Or even offensively, what we saw, I don't know what offense in the pack is going to do what Georgia did last night.
I mean, they have some guys who can throw it. So here's the thing. I don't know how bad Oregon's defense is. Like, let's be clear. He had a really great game. He ripped them apart. But is Oregon's defense, I mean, we're going off the strength of Dan Lanning being the guy up there that they're going to have a good scheme. But do he have the athletes to do it?
It was a clinic. Like, even when Stetson was under pressure last night, he was throwing dimes. I mean,
Stetson Bennett played amazing. Like, I'm not taking anything away. Like, he was doing the Houdini act and, making plays when there wasn't anything there. Stetson Bennett looked like a different quarterback this year. The confidence he's bringing into this season is dangerous for the rest of the SEC.
But I think, kind of shifting the conversation, I think that's why a lot of people are hopeful that Robbie Ashford, that he could be him, that he could be that guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Because he's a gamer.
Right, that elevates everybody around you. No excuses.
That's what they like. That's what most people like so much about the situation with Richardson in Florida. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
Richardson in Florida is just a guy he's super athletic.
Go out there and make plays. Yeah.
Look, he might not be the best thrower of the football, but can he just go make plays for our team?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people are hopeful that a lot of what we expected out of Bo could be Robbie Ashford. And let me say this, but Robbie had the benefit of easing into the college game, sitting for a couple of years. And then when he hits the field, we have a coach who's not putting the pressure of saving the season on Robbie Ashford's shoulders. You may not like that TJ Finley started, but TJ allows Carson.
I don't know what just happened.
Did we lose him? Let's grab some super chats, guys, real quick, because they're starting to pile up. And my apologies, guys, for not getting to that.
I don't know what happened there. That was weird.
Mike, we're gonna grab some supers. We're gonna grab some supers real quick. Brian Harris, a lot of those pressures will lead to sacks against other QBs. Did you see Hall held but still nailed the QB? My man. Yeah, I thought Hall I thought he had a pretty decent game, but again, we want to watch the film and definitely get an idea of how well. I was pleased with Leota at times. He was in on some plays for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But definitely pleased with him. Guys, please be sure to wish Lisa Wise a happy birthday. Hey. I see the number there, but Lisa, stop playing. You 37, girl. It's all right. She says, I absolutely got drenched running to our tailgating in the Coliseum parking lot. Hope you enjoyed your birthday weekend. Definitely celebrated and kept it off with an Auburn win. Happy birthday to you from the War Report for sure. SS Austin says, but y'all, Bo has an O-line now. He should be tearing it up. I mean, that's what we were told was going to happen.
Let some people tell it.
Brian Hatcher says, at Ike, I know I don't need to pay more to watch this again. I just want to know. I'm glad I can.
Hey, welcome.
Appreciate it. Cleveland Brown says, please clip Ike's roast for later. Pure.
Yeah, gold. It will be a standalone clip. It'll be a standalone clip. All right.
Isaac Cooper, Bo Picks is not a good QB1. Oh, good QB. I got you, Mike.
Yeah,
And-
I just a lot of people mistake my defense of the rest of the team as hate for Bo.
And
Yeah.
rightful critiques of Bo Nix as hate. Like, it's
And
not
that's the
bro.
thing. We
Yeah.
should be able to say what's very obviously seen with the naked eye.
The same
And
way we did it about TJ last night, B.
Right.
Yeah.
The same way. It's the same energy.
And that's
We
Listen,
didn't defend TJ last night.
That's the thing that frustrates me. It's like Bo Nix has been the quarterback here for 3 years. The War Report's been in existence for 3 years. You've never seen me critique another quarterback, so
Right.
you don't know what
Right.
I would do when another quarterback plays the same way for 3 years straight and he's still the starting quarterback. You have no idea. So your assumptions that I have some other reason for doing that other than I get tired of seeing this crap is ludicrous.
Yeah.
And to be again completely fair, Mike catches all the slings and arrows because he goes on, talks with Blackerby, he goes on somebody else's show, he's all vocal on Twitter. I trash Bo harder. I said immediately after TJ played late in the season, I was like, nah, that's enough. I don't want to see no more. And when we got Zach Calzada, we did a special live. It's like, B, what you think? I am quicker to judge people. Y'all just like to get at Mike because Mike talks in more places. He's more vocal. I am the biggest hater on this panel. I wear that. Mike, it might be pettier.
Yeah.
I am the biggest hater. I would love for y'all to come and meet more. It don't matter. I won't care.
But I'm not a hater at all. Like, I probably defended Bo more than anybody
Going
else
into last
on
season,
here.
me and Ike were like, yo, let's wait and see what he does.
I tried to defend this man so much.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
And eventually, it's like again. That's why number 3 was the Bo Nix fan. Y'all are the ones that pushed me to this place.
Yeah.
Because you won't stop talking.
Yeah, if you are wondering why we're talking about this, it's about the amount of times, because Brian is right. Brian will be like, he's a trash panda, and I'll be like, I think he could play better, and then people will be like, Mike's a racist, right?
And I think that's what took me over the edge, bro. It's like,
there was
stop calling us racist because we're critiquing a player. Like, I ain't got nothing to do with that, bro.
I don't control who the backup quarterback is. I have no control over that. It was funny. So, like, I thought in the offseason last year that D. Davis will make a push for the starting job. Now, I still think D. Davis has talent, but I will openly admit that I was wrong about D. Openly. Now, let me tell you something. D. Davis can play quarterback, but in the information that we got from the staff and from what I saw his opening with Alabama State, I don't think he has an SEC arm. Just didn't see it, right? Like, he throws accurate passes, but I thought it lacked a lot of pop, and a lot of the throws that he threw would be intercepted in the SEC. And that's what the staff saw, which ultimately is why he went to ASU. I still wish the young man well, but I don't think he was for Auburn, and that was a miss on my part, right? But again, I can't control who they recruited at backup quarterback. All we could do is analyze the guys that they brought in. A lot of us, almost all of us, thought Calzada was winning this job all offseason.
Right.
Until we found out that he wasn't. Right. And so, like, I just don't, I read, and I will call this out, man. It was an On3 message board. I very rarely let this stuff get to me, but I call Ike after. There was a whole message board by this complete moron of a human being, essentially saying, the only reason that we, and because here's what people will do. They'll listen to the show, guys, and then they'll either mishear or intentionally misrepresent something that we've said as the basis for saying those guys don't like white people or they're racist, right? And so the argument was, well, you criticized Bo while he was playing the best ball of his life. And I see there, that's a lie. We praised Bo the first 2 weeks. We questioned him after Penn State and Georgia State, where he got benched, by the way. So obviously the coach agreed with us. I thought TJ deserved a chance versus LSU, right? But Bo saved the day. And then, I thought, hey, man, listen, Arkansas was the best we've ever seen him play ever.
And there was very little criticism.
Yeah. No criticism. Ole Miss, the first half, I thought, the whole offense stalled in the second half. But first half of Ole Miss, same thing. Most of the Mississippi State game, great.
Yeah.
That's it. But again, like, all that's on tape. And these people take advantage of the fact that very few people are actually going to go back and listen to hours of content to hear that this guy is wrong. But I'm telling you, I'm on record with everything. I challenge you to dig it up. Where after Arkansas, I said, bench him for TJ. That's not on tape anywhere. Right. So I just don't like, I mean, it's funny. We criticize all these guys the same, but like for whatever reason, I was a little in my feelings about this. I took this a little personally because for a whole year, I've had to deal with everybody calling me every kind of name on social media, misrepresenting my words and our words as a group.
Right.
Oh, they'd always do that.
Right. And then taking the extra leap to say, not only are you unfair to him, but you're a racist. Give me a break, man. Like, only the most intellectually lazy people make that connection from criticism about how somebody plays football. I'm sorry.
I just clearly tape that supports.
Yeah.
It's just saying. YouTube channel, guys. You can see all of it. Just go back and watch it.
It's all there. Listen, go make a special on it. If you think you show me where we've ever talked about race or referred to somebody's race on this channel, ever, right? And your weak inferences do not count.
Tiff, appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you watching with us. Says Jarrett Stidham is a better QB than Nick Marshall.
He's a better passer. He's a better passer. Sure.
Passer.
He's a better passer.
Yeah,
yes. He's a better passer.
QB.
Yeah, but if you take the totality of what it means,
that's not a crazy statement. I just think Nick Marshall is a superior athlete.
Yeah. Like, listen,
Jarrett Stidham.
I think Marshall had enough things at the college level,
right,
to make up for what he lacked as a passer.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of people are hoping Robbie Ashford is. If he's not the best passer, because let's be clear, Cam had arm talent, but he was not the best passer, at least early in that season. He came on as a passer later in that season. Mm-hmm. But when we started after Mississippi State in 2010, I was like, I don't know. Can this guy throw the ball well enough for us to win games?
I just think that the reason why I don't think this is a crazy statement is you have to be honest about what kind of coach Gus was by the time Jarrett Stidham came around versus the type of coach he was when Nick Marshall came around.
Correct. Yeah, because he didn't want his QBs even working with outside QB coaches when Nick was here.
Right.
He reversed course on that Nick's second year because he went and worked with Michael Vick's guy.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, it's tough, man. I have a hard time evaluating any of our QBs under Gus. He just didn't know what he was doing with anything, man. Like, I'm sorry, everybody suffered, Bo included. Everybody suffered. And
who was it? Who was it that you heard? NFL guys like Gus ruined Jarrett Stidham.
It was what's his name? Jordan Palmer. I think it was.
Was it Mayock? Was it Mayock?
I'm not sure. It was a trainer. It was whoever Jarrett Stidham's pro trainer is.
I mean, that's why I don't think this is a crazy statement, because Jarrett Stidham was a pretty good QB. I just think under Malzahn, he just never reached his potential.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah, I just don't know, man. I think every QB that came through here suffered from Gus's evaluation of QBs and his tutelage of QBs. Period. I think every one of these guys could have been better with somebody who knew what they were doing with quarterbacks. If you weren't already that dude when you came in, you weren't going to become that guy under Gus.
Yeah.
He just needed somebody else getting guys in here. He needed a GM. You don't pick the dudes. I'll get you the dudes. You just do the offense.
Right. For sure.
Ben Bloodworth, appreciate you, man. He says, do I want Bo to fail? No. Do I feel validated that mine and others' criticisms of his QB play are being proven with Auburn taking out of the equation? Yeah.
Ben put this gospel verse on Twitter yesterday, and it was preceded by another tweet about the conversation. I'm gonna make a piece and put it on the website and reference it, because this is the most quintessential summary of it. I have never wanted Bo Nix to fail, especially while he was our quarterback. Why would I want our quarterback to fail? That means our team is failing. Right. But now that he's not here, he ran from the grind. Well, you know what? I hope you found what you're looking for. Look at that. It's not our offensive line. It's not our wide receivers. We saw a clear pattern, such similarities from yesterday to the years prior. Fine. Keep Auburn out your mouth. Now go blame Oregon's offensive line. Go blame Oregon's OC. Go blame Oregon's wide receivers and their playmakers. It's not Auburn. It was him.
Really cozy. Mike. Yeah. Do you expect to see more from Malcolm?
I was a little disappointed in how they used him. They gave it to him on some jet sweeps, and you have to play within the flow of the offense. And it seemed like there was one that TJ kind of overthrew on the sideline. Malcolm dove for it. But I think he only got one target actual target in the
I
game
think so.
that I can remember. So, well, I'll be interested to see how they use him moving forward. But like, I hope they don't turn him into a jet sweep guy. He can do so much more than that.
Yeah. For sure. Let's see what we got here. Lance Dahl, appreciate you hanging out with us, man. He says y'all might have talked about this already, but Pro Football Focus seemed to like what Auburn's line did yesterday.
It did. I have those numbers pulled up right here. So, Robbie was afforded a clean pocket, 85% of his dropbacks. Now he didn't have a ton, right? Like,
yeah.
Right, he didn't have a ton.
And 7 times.
And TJ 75% of the time. And if you follow us, you know that's good enough to win, right? If you're under only 25% pressure in the SEC, that's good enough to win.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Young was under 36% last season, and Zach Calzada 37. So, like in the high 30s, you're going to have a lot of trouble running offense unless you have that dude back there if you're over 30%. But guys like Kyle Trask and Joe Burrow, they're right around in the mid-20s in terms of, percentage of dropbacks under pressure. So, yeah, they seem to like what the offensive line did yesterday. But we'll see. We'll see how it stacks up against better talent, because I don't think any of us are pretending that Mercer is a good team.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. For sure. Enigma, out of 28 players on offense, Pro Football Focus ranked Robbie 3rd and Finley 27th.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder what these numbers would look like if the snaps were, you know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Robbie had 16 dropbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And TJ had, where are you? Update. More than that. And so, if the numbers are even, I'd just be interested to see, again, if those numbers hold. But I don't know, when you encompass everything that it takes to play quarterback, Robbie adds a different dynamic that I just think is going to give him an edge on anybody. If you have a dude who can run and throw, you've got something not a lot of teams have.
Yeah.
Well, when we say a true dual threat, like I'm not scared of Anthony Richardson's arm at Florida. Like he can play, like he can make plays with his legs, and he can make a throw here and there. But like I'm not scared of. He's not going to just sit back and carve you up.
Right.
I think Robbie can be a guy that carves you up. Did you see does anybody remember the throw to Schenker over the middle?
That throw was the best. The deep throw was good because he didn't miss, and we've seen guys miss the deep throw. Woo. That throw to Schenker was special. Right. Yeah. It was a special throw. Right. If he can make those kind of throws. Like, because you have to throw that in a tight window, you have to put the right velocity on it, right? And you have to see the field. You have to make sure that you're not throwing the DBs into the play, and you're not setting your wide receiver up to get killed either. It was a good throw. Shaker caught it, had time to turn around. I mean, he saw the field well. It was an impressive throw. So if he can do that, I think he has a chance to really do something special here as the quarterback. Yeah, for sure.
Erica, we'll go to the last one. B Will is always on Bo and Jimbo. I think B owns that.
I'm a hater of the purists. I come from a long line of haters.
Now, let me just say this while we're on the subject of quarterbacks. Outside of Stetson Bennett, do you know the quarterback that impressed me the most this weekend?
Who's that?
That quarterback at UNC, bruh.
What's his name?
Oh, Drake May. Drake
May was out there slinging the pill Saturday, bruh. Now, UNC's defense is trash.
Yeah, come on, cheers.
Drake May could ball.
Drake May did the thing.
Oh, wow. 71% completion percentage on the day. They protected him 70% of the time, so he's under 29% pressure. His adjusted completion percentage was 88.7%. Yikes. Yeah, he had a game, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
645 yards? What?
Now that defense needs to get it together.
Yeah. He won 63-61, Mike. That was the final score.
He threw for 630. Is this one game or two games?
You didn't watch that game, huh?
No.
Yeah, it was a game.
Wow.
It was crazy.
For real?
Yeah, that defense needs to catch up because they needed every bit of his production to win that game for sure.
How many? Wait, I'm sorry. They didn't play week 0, did they? Did they play week
0? They did play week 0.
Okay, all right. So these numbers are okay. Yeah, I was like, wait, these numbers are high. If this was one game, this was like Madden. Like what? Okay, yeah, they played week 0. Got it.
Yeah, Guys, that's all we got, man. Thanks y'all for hanging out with us, man. We're over 500 watching with us on a Sunday. We appreciate you guys. Ike, tell the people why they need to become a patron right now.
Yeah, man. You know, we got the hottest content and the best content out here on these webs for Auburn Sports, man. We are doing it big. Watch the film. It's going down tomorrow, man. You have to be a patron to be a part of that. If you enjoy the content, share it with somebody and tell them about why they need to be on board with the War Report. Not just the things that you see on the screen, but you get to get an opportunity to get tickets. We're doing a ticket giveaway for the Penn State game coming up. You need to be a member before the Wednesday show in order to be a part of this drawing. Again, this is a member-only drawing. If you are a member and you want someone else to become a member, you have the opportunity to gift them a membership. So you can do that here on YouTube now. Let someone else experience the War Report on you for a month. You can purchase as many gifted memberships as you would like to. I think actually that's not true. Maybe it's up to 50. But anyway, it doesn't matter. You can gift a whole bunch of them. But make sure that you do that. We are the Auburn Express on all of the podcast situations, powered by the War Report, so you can hear all of this back in audio format at some point in time during the week. We'll have this chopped up and ready for you guys to be able to re-listen to it. If you're not able to do that and you want to be hands-free or something like that, not on the YouTube app. We thank you to all of the people who had. Well, actually, we need to draw again before we get up out of here.
Oh, yeah.
My bad. I don't think I saw
call.
Rod May do the thing. But anyway, thewarreport.com is the shop, man, if you want to be able to get you some merch. But let's do this drawing again so somebody can get them a mug.
How are we on hashtags? Do we need to do something? Are we still gonna roll with that hashtag?
We'll roll with it. We'll see what happens on that one. We'll draw again. 120 people in the drawing. Somebody else needs to get this. Rod May, I didn't see you. I'm sorry. Oh, God, here he is. He said he's here right now. Yeah. There's Rod May right there. Right when I was about to redraw. I was going to get you up out of here.
You almost didn't get a mug.
Woo. All right.
Here's what we need you to do. Here's what we need you to do, sir. Right, that was close.
Yeah, I was right there in the midst of getting rid of you. My bad, Rod. My bad.
So about to be in your feelings, but email us business@theWar Report. Give us your physical address, mailing address, and we will send your mug to you. Congratulations for winning, good sir. Thanks for hanging out with us as well. Ike, continue on, sir.
Yeah, so if you want to be able to get you some merch the way Rod May just did, but you want to put some money behind it, you can go to thewarreport.com. Thewarreport.com is your one-stop shop for all things War Report. Go there and visit our sponsors. We've got a sponsor area down in the bottom. You can get directly to their websites from there. You can also get there and get to our shop, or you can view some of the written content that we out there. We're actually putting out articles right now on thewarreport.com, but definitely hit up the shop if you want to be able to support us in any other way. And we appreciate that.
For sure. Guys, we want to thank you again for hanging out with us. Please share this content on social media. That's Facebook. That's Twitter. Use the hashtag. Get your weight up. Please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel if you're new to us. Yeah, if you're on Instagram and Twitter, we're there as well. You can find us at The War Report. We are TW Report on TikTok. Someone asked us a quick question about FSU, LSU. I think we all had LSU. Did someone go?
Yeah. There's no way I'm betting on FSU.
Yeah. I can see something from them.
LSU did just officially announce Jaden Daniels as the starter.
Ooh, we get to see Jaden. Okay, all right. I've seen him play live when he was at ASU. So I mean, that young man has talent for sure, but I'm still iffy on whether he can do it in the SEC or not, right? But he's playing the ACC tonight, so
he'll do well. All right, guys, thank you for hanging out with us. As always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Sorry.